Hi, everyone. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. Thank you for joining us for our regular Wednesday evening Pacific time, Los Angeles time, where I'm located, live on June 9th. Usually we start at 5 p.m. Pacific, but every once in a while, just start early to get your questions in, especially when we have good news, which came out today. Today's the annual conference for immigration lawyers. I was speaking at it today, and it's an annual thing where USCIS announces like a big major change always on the first day of the conference. And wow, what a doozy the information for today. Very helpful for people. Going to get into that second, but before we start, I want to remind those watching live, one, we have a free or 3 or 4 free consultations we give out to those who watch live. Every 10 minutes, my assistant will tell me, okay, this person won. What you got to do is click like, subscribe, and leave a comment to let us know you want a chance at the consultation raffle. And every 10 minutes, we'll announce the person. They got to take a screenshot of their page to show that it is their account and to email it to me, and we'll take it from there. Other than that, if you're interested in a marriage-based kind of case, fiance marriage case, download the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide for free. It's the ultimate guide out there that really breaks down the marriage green card process for you. It's fantastic. If you read it, you'll really see what I'm talking about, appreciate it, and be like, wow, that's something. So with that, let's get it started. All right, so as questions are trickling in, we're going to get into a second. I want to mention a couple of things that has happened with USCIS that was announced today. The big important one, I think affects a lot of people, is the work permit issue. So what happened is USCIS issues a work permit for a year when you're filing for adjustment of status. That's when you apply for a green card under Regulation 245. Those run out after a year, but in many cases, there's super amount of delays happening, which is very frustrating. They announced today that instead of giving a 1-year EAD, employment authorization document, or work permit, they're going to give a 2-year EAD to hold you over, not have to refile and deal with that hassle again. So that's good news. Secondly, during the Trump administration, there was a memo that came out that said if you didn't submit all the proper document on the first try when you submit your case to USCIS, then what they're going to do is just deny your case, and that's that. So that was really problematic, troublesome, because people sometimes mix up. Sometimes USCIS makes a mistake. You sent something, but they claim that you didn't, and based on that alone, they could deny your case. Now, thankfully, they walked that back. They've renounced that that memo that says they'll automatically deny it, which is a big help for people, especially doing it on themselves. Mistakes do happen, so we saved ourselves from that one. That's the second thing that they did. And the third thing, it's not as big as these for at least the stuff we do, but they clarified and updated the standards for getting an expedite request. So this is when something's taking a while at USCIS, or you need it done faster. You tell them, hey, I need to expedite my case, make it faster. Now, what does it mean? They broadened it up a little bit, but practically speaking, it's always up to the adjudicating officer at USCIS what they want to do, and they're not always consistent in how they're doing their stuff. They're not always as open in accepting an expedite request. I've had some expedite requests recently which were really good cases. I mean, these are cases where I'm like, oh, this is going to be easy, open and shut expedite approval. This is going to go in. But they were both denied for really heart-wrenching conditions, and we're complaining to senators. They told the senator we're not going to do anything. So we'll see how good the expedite request is. I'm not going to hold my breath, but it's all indication of more positive stuff, especially relative to the previous administration as to how bad things were. So let's just jump into taking a few questions. Our first question comes from Mehelmet Torsa. Hi, great to see you again here, sir. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the great work being done. I appreciate it, my heart. Thanks for watching. I appreciate the kind words. Peter Ibrahim, I think in regular as well, asks, how long does a diversity visa lottery adjustment of status process take from biometrics to interview? So there are no fixed times where in any immigration, essentially how long processing takes. In particular, biometrics to interview. This is a question that comes up every day for me is, I got my biometrics, how soon do I get an interview? How soon do I get approved? There is no correlation between biometrics appointments and getting an interview. Biometrics appointment is an automatic thing that gets scheduled on some sort of system, and you go there. There are times when we get no biometrics to go to the interview. It's rare, but they say, well, your interview went well, but we still haven't got your biometrics. So they're unrelated as to what I've seen at least. So it's not something I would think about, oh, I got my biometrics. That's a good indicator of this or that. It's just a formulaic thing. They have a place in line for getting biometrics, and that's about it. Now, for adjusting status for diversity visa cases, you have to get your case done before the end of September of the following year after you're approved. If you don't have it, you unfortunately lose out on the process. They do try to expedite those kind of cases because there is that deadline, but there's a lot of luck that goes into it as well. All right, so we'll take the next question. Law asks, pending asylum, and I won the diversity visa lottery 220 in 2021. I filled out I-485 and got denied because the officer said pending asylum is not status. What should I do? Well, Law, which field office did you go to? Where did your interview happen? This is a major issue, and this is something that actually comes up a lot in these Q&As that we have. So let me know what city or you filed this. But let me talk about this. I have a lot of videos and clips on this on the YouTube page, on the JQK Law YouTube page, on the clips page. But essentially, if you file for file for asylum, you're not in any status. And to be able to file for adjustment of status, which means going from whatever status you had to a green card to adjust to that, you have to have some underlying status. Now, a lot of field offices where you do your interview, it will not consider it a status if you had valid status. You're a student visa holder, you are a tourist visa holder, something like that, and you file for asylum, and those tourist visa or the work visa or the student visa ends, and you have an asylum case pending, they don't consider that status. So in this case, you said Detroit field office, they will not accept that and will deny your adjustment of status case. However, I've seen cases in some field office will accept that. This is a situation where if you had the funds, try filing a lawsuit. It's hard for the diversity visa lottery because the numbers run out. They may not accept a lawsuit on it, but it's something that is case by case basis, office by office, whether they'll accept that. Some arguments against some offices work, some don't. And that seems right here, Detroit field office doesn't work. In Virginia, this doesn't work as well. I've seen it work, but there are a couple of field offices where I've seen it work. And the field office you have your interview at, it makes a final decision on your case, depends on your address. So this is a big, big problem. There's a lot of lawsuits that come back and forth on this, but we don't have clarification. What I've seen is it's a case by case, office by office answer to this one. But sorry about the denial. Tanya asks, I applied for the M400 for citizenship and have questions about being out of the country for more than 180 days of the year, but going back and forth every 4 to 6 months. So that's a big issue. If you're out for more than 180 days, that's an immediately trigger to deny your case unless you could prove you're actually living in the United States. You need to document that wealth. And, Tanya, that's so case specific. I need to see what's going on there. But you have an uphill battle to be able to deal with that. I did a full video, a detail about the timeline issues, continuous presence, physical presence, domicile in the state requirement. For all this for citizenship, if you go to the JQK Law immigration page on YouTube, there's like, 10, 15-minute video on that. Definitely check that out. But in your circumstances, if they're questioning your absences, we need to be able to document that you're really living here. These were temporary absences, but it's an uphill battle. Sorry to hear that, Tom. You might have to wait another 4 or 5 years. Paranoid Android asks a regular, if one holds a valid EAD derived from F1 OPT, so that means you're a student visa holder, you graduated, you get a work permit for a year after graduating, and you get work experience. And you say in the meantime, is approved for change of status to an O1, is the F1 EAD still valid or does it become unusable in a new status? So yeah, it's not usable anymore. So this person has a student visa and then changed to what's called an O1 visa. That EAD immediately becomes expired or unusable. Because the basis of it was your F1 status. You no longer have F1 status, you're an O1 visa holder now. So anything that was attached to that goes away, now you have the O1. Now the O1 allows you to work based on what your itinerary is and how it was described, the things you can work on. So it could be a lot of stuff you can do, it could be a few stuff you can do. It depends on how you word it and how you broke down your itinerary of work for the O1. O1 being an extraordinary ability visa, you have some sort of skill that you're top at, and based on that, you're working and pursuing and continuing your work in the United States. So just to underline question, the EAD is not valid, but hopefully you designed the O1 in a way that's more able to accept other things that can be helpful. Next question. Sabrina asks, when going through consular processing for someone who entered the US without inspection, will we ever have to go to an interview again? I never see it mentioned. Well, if you're going to go through consular processing with someone entered without inspection, consular processing is when you have to go to the embassy. Well, you may be subject to a 3 or 10-year bar, so you need to make sure you got a waiver for that. But will you have to interview again? Well, you will. Consular processing will end in an interview. If the interview doesn't go well, sometimes they'll ask you to come again. So there's just so many different things, Sabrina, could happen here. It depends on the facts of the case. For example, you may go to the interview and they find some sort of other inadmissibility issue. They might say, oh, you have marijuana, you're a marijuana user. You have to come back in a year and show us that you've been marijuana clean and you went through counseling, all this stuff. You have to do another interview at that time. So it's just too much going on. That could be possibilities. That is way too hypothetical for me to be able to answer that, Sabrina. But it may be possible you have to do multiple interviews depending on the details of your case. Mohammed follows up, is asylum-based green card any different than a marriage-based one? I don't mean the process and file officially differences. Yeah, so a marriage-based green card is adjustment of status based on INA 245A or 245, let's say. An asylum-based green card is based on another code section. I don't recall the numbers exactly. I don't know, 217 or 2 something. I don't know. So they have different nuances to them and what they mean and could do. It's too technical legally, but there is that much of a difference. Like when you get the green card, it'll indicate how you got your green card with the basic one, which will identify you're an asylee too. Practically for what your life is not going to make a difference, but there are technical differences that are too technical to be able to make a difference here. So before taking the next question, I want to give a reminder that we have our free raffle winner, Law, asked about a free consultation, LA or Law. I think it was the case about the denial. Take a screenshot for wherever you're watching. In the screenshot, have your screen name so we can make sure it's really you that's doing it, not some random person. And email that to me at info@jqqlaw.com, info@jqqlaw.com, and we'll set up a 15-minute video consultation to discuss your case and all that kind of stuff. Before going back to questions, there's one question that gets repeated a lot. Is how long it takes to get the interview, how long it takes for the case to have this or that. I can't answer questions about timelines. It varies so drastically, and most of the time it's out of our hands completely. Where two cases exactly the same. One takes 3 months, one takes 1 year. There just is no practical real answer to that. And I don't want to come here and lie to you or say something that's wishful thinking. So I can't answer that. But if you are thinking about doing a marriage green card case, fiance marriage, if you want to know what's going on, where to start is going to marriageimmigrationlaw.com and download the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide, 40-some pages of detailed breakdown of the process. So before you go and talk with an immigration lawyer, you know what's up. So you could have a really confident, your confident abilities of what to ask the lawyer, to be prepared, to know what they're talking about, and see whether this lawyer is good or not, because you have all the facts, you know the situation, and you guys can take it from there. Download that at marriageimmigrationlaw.com. So if you are interested in the raffle, please put a consultation request in the comments, do a like and subscribe, and then 10 minutes or so we'll have another person win a raffle. So next question. Bilal asks, hi, I was told by an accountant to file my taxes under single as my wife lives in Canada and she doesn't have a social security number. Is that okay? Will that apply for my U.S. citizenship when I apply for U.S. citizenship? In general, it's probably going to be okay, but that's not right. Your accountant is incorrect. But I found is most accountants are incorrect on this. Just because your wife lives overseas doesn't mean that she can't be included in your taxes. You could file for what's called an ITIN, I-T-I-N. But ideally, you just want to file for her status. So first of all, you don't want to lie to the IRS. You are married, so you have to file married, filing separately if your wife's not filing with you. Maybe try talking with another accountant for proper information. The other accountant will probably give you mistaken info too, because what I've seen is most accountants give this incorrect information, but you should include her. There are ways to submit the case by paper, even if you don't have an ITIN, just to get it in. And for citizenship, it's probably not going to be a problem either way. But if you're going to file for your wife's green card and then want to look at tax returns, that could be a problem. I haven't seen it be a problem. They let it go because most people don't know what to do here. But it's not the proper thing to do. And as a professional service person, they're not supposed to give you bad advice just to make their job easier. They should just tell you, or at least study what to do this properly. So I wouldn't go by what that account said. No. Well, I'll take the next question. Farhad asks, I submitted submitted 10 N400 in March 2020. Should I do an inquiry? I haven't got my interview yet. Check out the processing times for on USCIS.gov for N400s at your local field office. If it says it's outside of the regular time frame for that office, which it probably isn't, then yeah. But other than that, it's pretty much like things just take a while. So I wouldn't be too worried about it. But you probably can't make an inquiry because it's probably within regular processing times for a local office. But check first to see if it is or not, and then you could take it from there. Tanya follows up, how long can I be out of the country? Tanya, you're not supposed to be out for too long. You're supposed to be living here. Watch the video I did on JQK Law Firm's YouTube page. Just search, naturalization, presence, or timelines, or something like that. And it'll come up, and that'll be a full description. If you want to schedule a consultation in my office, then we can do it. But I can't answer that question. How long can I be out of country? There's just too much going on there. Coley asks, will the EAGLE Act be passing anytime soon? When it comes to these bills and acts and stuff like that, it's like asking when is coronavirus going to disappear? Who knows? Maybe it's never going to disappear. So e-block may never happen. So it's not, some people make a lot of views on videos talking about this stuff because people get really into it. But when it comes to bills and stuff, and I studied political science in college, and I followed, back when I gave a damn about politics, I used to follow stuff a lot. Until it's signed and goes into effect, you don't know, so it could take forever. And even after it's passed, for example, last year they passed a rule that said people could pay extra money, like, I don't know, $1,800 for premium processing. So instead of waiting a year to get their work permits, they could get it within like 2 or 3, 4 weeks. Well, they passed the law, but USCIS still hasn't put it into effect. So what laws will happen, this and that, I don't rely on any of this stuff. We just go based on what's happening now, and I wouldn't rely on what may or may not happen in between Congress and the Senate and the president signing. It's just too many variables. A lot of times these bills are put into place for political purposes. So someone can say, I did this, I tried to do this, but who knows, even if it's passed, what the final version will be, if it's going to be watered down or not. So I don't bother with this kind of legislation stuff. I just been around the ballpark too many times to care about that stuff. Mohammed asks, is an asylum-based green card any different? We already answered that one. Let's check on the next question. Paranoid Anger says, thank you. Appreciate it, Paranoid Android. Thank you for always subscribing, always on the show. Azan follows up, I've asked, if you have a removal proceeding in court, which is pending, and you apply for change of status with marriage, can you qualify for parole to come back to the U.S.? Azan, that's way too specific. If you have a removal proceeding, I would just say don't travel. That's just, there's no point in do that. It's not change of status of marriage, it's adjustment of status, but you're in court. It's not immediately clear whether you can even adjust status. So it's just a bad idea to travel. But consult with an immigration attorney in private if you wanted to discuss that further. But I usually don't handle cases of removal, so I'm not a good source for that. S. Carval's asks, what is the best proof of medical insurance expenses requested under 221G? I'm not sure why they would request medical insurance expenses under 221G. So that's something I have to review your case to see why they would refuse a case based on that. So it's a weird situation. So that's something you have to review individually. I can't answer that question here. Rita asks, international immigration have to take vaccine, or can you travel with negative reports for USA? So your question is weirdly worded. I can't fully understand it. But if you're entering the United States right now, you have to have shown that you recently tested negative and recent before coming to the United States. Having a vaccine has no bearing on U.S. immigration. Ambrose asks, hi, John, which is better, consular processing or adjustment of status? Ambrose, that just depends on the details of your case. For some people, consular processing better, some adjustment of status. And some people can't do adjustment of status. So it really depends on the specific case that you have to see what's appropriate there. Vikram asks, my girlfriend is on TPS. If she gets a green card and we get married, will I be eligible for a green card? Well, TPS has no pathway to getting a green card. So TPS is called Temporary Protected Status, the short version of it, the initials. And it says if you're from certain countries, temporarily, you can stay in the United States, get a work permit. Now, if you get married, you may or may not be able to get added onto that TPS. We'll have to see. But there's no path to a green card. Now, if she gets a green card, if you're eligible for a green card, we need to know your whole life story. So here's no information about you other than you may be engaged to a person or you have a girlfriend's TPS. So this question is just missing all the information I would need to be able to answer that question. So definitely consult with an immigration attorney in private. John Bullock says, how long are waiver for inadmissibility cases taking from process for receipt to date, consular appointment? John, that's impossible to ask because each embassy is scheduling times differently. Each case is processed differently. It's going to take more than a year, probably 2 years, but there's just too much there. It's not really a question anyone could really answer. Peace for all asks, can I enter the U.S. on a B2 visa, get married to a U.S. citizen, and return to my country and wait the process? Yes, technically you can, but we don't want you, for example, if you haven't got a tourist visa yet and you go to the embassy, and they ask you why you want to come to tourist visa, you have to be honest. So if you say, yeah, I want to marry my girlfriend, my fiance, and then come back for consular process, you have to tell them. So if you don't tell them, you come and get married and go back, although you didn't stay, which is what they're worried about, they could come back later and say, oh, you lied to us at the interview, you didn't tell us you're engaged. And so that's misrepresentation. So can I enter the U.S.? This is I can't individually answer this. I have to see what's going on, but generally you got to be careful and do this kind of stuff. You should consult with an attorney in private to see what the whole facts of the case are, to see if that's appropriate or not, and how to plan it out, maybe working with CBP customs ahead of time, planning out getting the visa, all this kind of stuff before coming. So definitely consult with an immigration attorney. Epiol asks, hi, John, can I apply for STEM OPT and I-130 simultaneously? Yeah, they're kind of separate things. The I-130 is the I-130. OPT STEM is OPT STEM. You should do both. I mean, again, with these individual kind of cases, this is general education only. Whether you could apply, I don't know. I don't know if your I-130 is proper. I don't know if your STEM OPT is proper. But generally, it can be done. Whether you could do it, I can't say. It's all just general education and knowledge. 29 Super C, a regular ask. Good night, Attorney Khosravi. Good evening. Have you heard any updates from the State Department on how the immigrant visa backlogs will be taken care of? No, unfortunately, there's huge backlog, probably add an extra year to processing. It's pretty disastrous for people, but that is all backed up big time. And so what's going to happen? It's not clear how they're going to do this. They may lower the standards, do less security checks, maybe. I don't know, but no realistic solutions yet. Now, really quick, I want to announce the winner. We just spoke Peace for All. You are the winner for the free 15-minute consultation by video. Just take a screenshot to show wherever you're watching. You said consultation and stuff, and that is your account. Email that to me at info@jqqlaw.com. And what we'll do is I'll email you back and let you know how to set up the free consultation. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate that. All right, Abdul asks, how to expedite asylum? Well, there's no real way to expedite an asylum case. Everything's backed up. Maybe if you have some sort of urgent situation, I don't know, but it's not any real way to expedite it that I know of, but you could always give it a shot. Bill follows up, thanks. How can I get the right number of days outside the United States? Do I need to subtract 1 day from the total of days between 2 days, or subtract the day left and they came back? Bill, if you're thinking about filing for U.S. citizenship and you're counting the days, which is I think what you're talking about, any day where even partially you spent in the United States is considered a whole day here, and then the days you're fully outside is fully outside. But if you're trying to count this for the physical presence requirement, that's that. But if you're trying to count this for how they're going to deal with you at the airport when you come back in, the port of entry, or even on citizenship to see whether you're actually in or not, that kind of stuff doesn't matter. They look at the whole picture of where you've been and what your history is. So you should talk with immigration and investigate how the whole thing looks like. Marcello asks, hi, John, do you know how long it takes to get the biometrics? I applied for marriage-based visa October 2020, and so far, no notice yet. That's the thing. Some people get the notice after 1 or 2 months. Some people get the notice after 8 or 9 months, a year. So it depends on whenever they want to do it. There's no correct answer to that. Amit Fall asks, hello, sir. I filed my H1 I-485 and fingerprint done on March 31st. Do you know when I might get my EAD? I don't. It depends on whenever they get around to it. But if you keep your H1 alive, you can always do transfer potentially. Michelle Bazil asks, what about a fiance visa? Well, what about it? Peace for All says, sorry. So yeah, I don't know what your question is. Peace for All says, sorry, almost same question. Can a Canadian enter the U.S. and marry, return to Canada, wait till? In general, a person could get married in the United States and file for a green card, consular processing. But this is getting too specific. Peace for All, you got the free consultation. We'll talk about it in private then. But it just depends on the case and the facts and what luck you have with the port of entry. 29 Service C, thank you for answering. You're welcome to 29 Service C, and thank you for being a regular. Bilal, you're welcome. Thank you as well. Appreciate it. Esha asks, I applied for citizenship on August 28, 2021. It's already 282 days. How long will it take? It'll take however long it takes for them to get to you. So you just got to be patient. I think you meant August 2020, not 2021. But that's not, you can wait a year and a half. That's not abnormal or anything like that. All right, so yeah, these timeline questions, I know it's frustrating, but unless you go to USCIS.gov and it's way outside there, or just outside there what their processing is, or that's about it. Everything's delayed right now. We had coronavirus to shut things down, so we're dealing with a serious situation. Embassy is even worse. USCIS has cases we're not even touching. We file it, nothing's going forward. I was doing an interview with a colleague of mine who does religious worker visas, R1s. I have a separate channel on YouTube called the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox. It's a training and education program for immigration lawyers. And he was saying, yeah, we filed these religious workers, like a priest wants to come to the United States. They're just not even, we just send it, they don't even touch it. So it's just like it's just sitting there for a year. So it just depends on how they want to deal with this stuff. Not reliable at all. That's the situation that we're dealing with. All right, we got some new questions right here. Opad asks, can a small business owner sponsor an F1, F2 visa holder for H1B? Yeah, it's possible. Anyone could do an H1B if an employer can. It really depends on if you could, pay the amount you got to pay the person, their education is proper for it, and if you win the lottery. So this F1B student, unless you're a research institution, which I doubt you are, you have to wait until next year in March, April to file. So this person needs to have their F1 status valid or OPT status valid until that time, so you can file for the H-1B for them and take it from there. It is possible. The size of the business isn't necessarily a bad thing. The smaller it is, well, the more they may question it. But if it's a business and it's running, it's not the worst. It's doable. But it's just a lot of factors, and the wait and the delay is something that's problematic. So that's something to think about. Okay, so and Ratasha says, thank you as well, Ratasha. I appreciate it. That's very kind of you to say. So, these timeline questions do pop up. Unfortunately, whether, one step on consular processing is when you send the documents to the National Visa Center and they accept everything, and then you wait for an embassy interview. Well, how long does it take from when you're documentarily qualified, or DQ as they say, until the interview? There's no answer to that, because it just depends on whenever the embassy gets around to scheduling an interview, and things are super duper duper hooper super duper backed up. And so there's just no answer, and most likely at least the answer you could give is you got to wait a long time, even if you're married to a U.S. citizen. Although they give somewhat of more priority to that, it still doesn't make a difference. So you just got to be patient, and you're just stuck, really. That's it. I'll go ask historic median processing times on USCIS website. Are they correct? It's not historic. It's what they consider to be processing times. It's a very stupid formula they have, how they calculate it. It doesn't make any sense, and it's not connected to reality at all. But if you want some made-up timelines, yeah, go to USCIS.gov, and you can find them there. But it's not something realistic. We have to use this sometimes if we're filing a lawsuit or if we want to file a complaint. But for practical purposes, it's not something I check on. Clients do because they think there's value to it, but there's no value to it. Abdullah asks, my friend is waiting for asylum interview for 6 years. He legally entered U.S. on still waiting. Yeah, these asylum interviews are taking a long time. Things are backed up. 6 years is not unheard of. There's tons of cases that are exactly in the same situation. So there's just delays. The immigration system in America is just built on delays. So expect that. So when you plan your life, what you're going to do, you know that nothing's going to happen quick, whether you're married to a U.S. citizen or whatever the situation is. Hopefully it happens faster, but there's not much you can do. Everyone wants to do expedite requests. Everyone's filing these. So as you can imagine, they care less and less because everyone's trying to request them, and the standards go higher and higher. That's just what I've seen in the process. Rishad, you're so nice. God bless you. Thank you, Ratasha. Ratasha, if you had time, and anyone else who enjoyed this program, just type in my firm name, JQK Law Firm, in Google, and then on the right-hand side, there'll be a place to leave a 5-star review. I'd appreciate it. You don't have to type any words, just put 5-star. It helps me out a lot. I'd appreciate it. Rita or anyone else watching, you don't have to do that, but it'd be cool if you do that. I'll go say, as consular processing faster than I-485? No, they're two separate things. It depends on the case. Right now, consular processing is super backed up, so most likely it will be faster than I-485, but it depends on what kind of I-485 you have. For example, if you're an Indian case and you're allowed to file for adjustment of status, you could file it, but I don't know when your case is going to be current for it to be current, so for the process. So I'll go saying there's just no answer to that. It depends on the case and the facts and the luck and what happens tomorrow. And, I can't tell the future, or else I'd be doing some other kind of a business than being immigration there if I could predict the future that accurately. Far was asks, how long does it take for a U.S. citizen to get his or her spouse in the United States? Hopefully less than 2 years, but it could be longer. As I said, these things are super backed up. Tanya sent an email. Thank you, Tanya. Appreciate that. We'll try to connect and schedule a consultation time to go over your case. Okay, so, this timeline issue, again, is the major thing that's on people's mind. The one solution is this: just lower the standards, and if people have issues, just don't pay attention as much, just let it go through. But that's not a very powerful thing to do. They did that in the 90s. So they wanted to get a lot of people, for example, to get citizenship. There was a push for it, and they gave citizenship to a lot of people. But when they did the analysis, they saw that they gave U.S. citizenship to a bunch of people that were supposed to be kicked out of the United States, people who had criminal history, and so they like, oh, we can't do this again. So they slowed it down again. That was what, 25 years ago. They may just get back into it. We have a president that's a Democrat again, like it was during that time. I'm not sure who was president when that happened, but when they did that big push for citizenship. But the only thing is lowering the standards and somehow just not reviewing things thoroughly. That's the only thing. Jose saying, what's the maximum timing? There is no maximum timing. It could be 10 years if it gets stuck. Lance Morales, do you think Biden will make it easier to get citizenship? It doesn't matter what I think. It's either he's going to do it or not. So I don't like to speculate about stuff that I have no power over or no inside information over. So I wouldn't really think about things like that. All right, so we're gonna be wrapping up soon. Samuel follows up, can DUI affect asylum? Well, President Trump, when he was here, he passed a regulation that said if you had a DUI, you're definitely going to get denied asylum. But will they do that in your case? I don't know. They put a hold on that, but they can still have to. It depends on the facts. For example, if you had a DUI and you hit somebody, maybe. So, we kind of have to go over your case, see what happens, but I don't handle asylum cases, so I'm not a good resource for that. I recommend consulting with another firm to discuss that. Now, I want to announce the next raffle winner. Vikram, we had talked earlier, you asked the question. You are the new winner of this right here. We can discuss the case. We talked about free 15-minute video consultation. Just take a screenshot of the app you're watching this on. Make sure your screen name is in there somehow so I can know it's really you. And I'll reply with an email saying how to schedule a consultation. Just email that screenshot to me so that I know it's you and we could take it from there. All right, so we'll take a couple more questions if you have some on TikTok, Facebook, all the other things. Paranoid Andrew asks, I have a fun question. There's talk about a UFO phenomenon being investigated by the U.S. government right now. If extraterrestrials come to the United States, should they be subject to U.S. immigration laws? Well, they will have to be based on how the law is. But they have to be properly admitted, all that kind of stuff, whether they're coming from the sides or air or from space, they have to be. But I would imagine if they were going to get immigration laws involved with something like this, the president has the power to parole anyone in. So they can make a special a president, executive branch, the Department of Homeland Security, all these immigration officers have from the port, wherever can give permission for someone to enter the United States. They'll probably just consider it like that and let them in, and then to take it from there. But the word alien is being removed from the immigration laws under President Biden because they say it's offensive. They're using other terminology for it. It's problematic because the words and definitions of words used in the immigration process have specific meanings. Sometimes they're not proper words used either for technical reasons or for cultural reasons. But the word alien, the way they want to change it to me is problematic because it confuses people. And it ruins the way people differentiate between green card holders and people here without permission. So it's some troublesome. It's hard finding something that works for everything, but that's what they're doing. But thank you for the fun question, Parent Andrew, and thanks for watching regularly. It's good to see you again. All right, so with that, I think we're going to call it a day. Thank you, everyone, for watching and tuning in today. We started a little bit early, so we ended a little bit early as well, but I appreciate everyone who joined. I guess we'll get one last question, but before that, if you were interested in a marriage green card case, download the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide by going to marriageimmigrationlaw.com, download it there. And we're always here every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific time, taking your questions, so tune in on all the different apps. And Amit, you're welcome. Thank you. Last question, Nagina asked, what I have to do for USCIS? USCIS denied your adjustment status case. You came on a fiance visa, and the lockdown happened before I could get married. I applied again. What they going to ask was probability of approval. I don't know enough about your case, why they would have denied your case, so I can't give you any of those answers. We schedule a consultation so we see what happened. And at the end of the day, I can give probability of approval. I can say what issues exist and they don't exist, and we can take it from there. But there's just not enough information for me to answer your question. But thank you for reaching out and watching the show. I appreciate it. All right, everybody, until next week, God bless, be safe, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.